Welcome to The Ancient Light of the Yeshua Teachings, 8-episode mini-podcast with actress, musician, and author Verenia Nia Peoples, and ancient Aramaic wisdom keeper Dale Allen Hoffman. Episode 8, Only-begotten.
Welcome, welcome, everyone.
Did you hear Loretta scream "shut up" to our dog just now? It was really loud.
Whose dog is that?
Yeah, no, yeah. She had some friends over, and our dog Honey, she just.
She the one that attached her teeth to my pants when I was over there?
Yeah, no, that was Zelda.
Oh,
that was Zelda. Yeah, Zelda's just that's her. Zelda's a Chihuahua, but Honey's a border collie, and she's always in herding mode, so she's barking constantly. If there's people she doesn't know, she's barking them into the herd. Anyway, but no, Zelda's the one that actually attacked you.
She's about this big.
Yeah.
And hanging on to my brand new pants I'm like, what? Anything but the pants. Take my ankle, please. Not my pants.
Well, I was looking. I saw when you picked her up and you were going to punt her across the street, but no.
No, I was not.
I want to sometimes, but I wouldn't do that. Anyway, yeah.
Well, this is it. So here we are. This is our final session with Mr. Dale Allen Hoffman.
Wow.
What a journey it's been.
Yeah, and I'll let everybody know that I'll put it in the chat room a few times on the Human Harmonics YouTube page. They've posted all of the calls up to this point, but on my YouTube channel, I actually organized them into a playlist. So that's what I'll drop that I'll do it now, and I'll do it a few more times, but a playlist of all the previous calls. So
that's perfect. We should have ours in a playlist too.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy enough to just do that, and yeah. Oh, just wait till after the call. You're making a note, or you're texting already?
I was making a note.
So, all right. Any input before we get going?
Well, I would actually love to hear any input from anybody. This is one of my favorite favorite sessions that I've ever hosted, for a number of reasons. And you're just so well organized in the way that you present them, and it's not without being present in what's happening right now. So. That's always a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah, I used to be more unorganized, but I got over it. So no, it's been I got to say one thing actually before we get going is sometimes it's not that I take it for granted. I live and breathe this stuff constantly. So sometimes I guess I just on some level not forget, but sometimes it just slips my mind the magnitude of what some of these sort of are going to be like for some people.
Yep. And
there's nothing like that to have a live event and to have, especially when there's a couple of hundred people in the room or even just 10 people and you hear things that the guilt, the shame, and the fear that was foisted upon, that was all garbage. All of it was just junk to keep a good person down, and it's awesome that's why people ask me a lot. They're like, why do you keep doing this Christian thing? You could do anything. And I'm like, well, I feel like this is the one where, at least here in the West, there's the most prisoners. A lot of good people, and some that are good people within it, and they don't need something else. They're fine. I know people that are standard textbook born again Christians, and they're fine, and it's like it's nothing. But they're really good people, and there's other ones that are like, I don't know, there's something more, and those are the ones I'm here for, or the ones that are carrying that bag of guilt on their back.
Yeah. And I think too, it's time. I mean, I was talking to another friend of mine just about religion in general, where there is this essence of truth, that God is love running through all of it. There are miracles that take place in all these different types of religions because they have that piece of truth. And I think it's really, what's happening within religion isn't any different than what's happening in the rest of the world. And that is that we're all being called to a deeper truth and to stand in it and not allow someone else to tell us what that is, but other people can awaken it within us. And so with regard to our relationship to our faith or our religion, can we listen and be called to just stand in what the truth is and allow the rest of it to fall away? Because that's, there's always this truth in the center and then all this other stuff that comes around it. Reclaim it, like reclaim the truth of the beautiful faith or religion that you've chosen or were raised up in that serves you. Hold on to the truth of it and allow the rest of it to be pushed away. And it is our choosing to stand up in it that's going to allow it to right itself, if you will.
Yeah, and I like Chantel wrote God is love, and I hope that it's still sitting there where I can see it later when we actually get into the term, that we're going to talk about today, which I think all of Christianity kind of pivots on the term. But unfortunately, the term is exactly 100%, 180 degrees opposite. It's exactly 100% perfectly opposite of its truthful meaning. So, but it's, I'm actually going to write it down just in case that goes further down in the chat thing. But yeah. And we will open it up, for people's input in the end, and sort of talk a little about where the heck do you go from here. So, yeah. Okay. Any input? Anything?
Anybody? We're opening the floor. All right.
Opening
Dale.
the floor. No, that's the word. That's the way down the hell.
I think it's all yours, Dale.
Okay. So I have been working on, someone actually emailed me like, I don't know, I guess it was like 2 months ago, asking me if I had ever encountered an Aramaic translation of the Hail Mary prayer. And the funny thing was, I realized the other day, after 2 months of me actually going, oh, wow, what a good idea, and working on it, it didn't take me 2 months. It was just a matter of, cutting out some time. And then when I finally kind of formalized it and wrote it down, then I replied to her 2 months later. But, for me, not being I have to say one thing, and he's on the call, of course, Michael Ormond. Mikey's, my best friend since forever, but I have such a gratitude for him being in my life because he keeps me grounded in his, well, even this way is a good way to put it. Being raised Catholic, he sort of has this way of tapping me on the shoulder and say, sort of, listen, remember, it's, there's some people out there who are going to think the opposite of what you're saying. So, and he's always, and since I went to a Catholic church once other than going to like St. Patrick's when I lived in New York, I only attended a Sunday service at a Catholic church once. And that was with my friend Bill McNamara, who happened to live just a couple doors down from Mike. And it was so different for me. I guess I was 10. We were on the same soccer team together. Well, so was Mike. This is 1982. And I remember the rituals and like the kneeling and all that was very different than it was for me being Methodist and going to the Episcopal Church for quite a while too, both Methodist and Episcopalian Church, which the Episcopalian Church was like Catholic light, like same great taste, but less filling. It didn't have all the fireballs thrown at you, but it still had the pageantry and the majesty, which was nice. But it's like without Mike, I would sort of have forgotten, like, let me put it this way, Catholicism means universal, and it doesn't, but unfortunately, when that was crafted, it didn't mean universal as in cosmic universal. It meant everybody's going to basically adopt this or else. But the thing is, Mike has this beautiful way of reminding me, why can't we? He's never said that. I've said this, but I'm crediting him with my great insight here. Just kidding. that, why can't we turn it from the one universal into the one universal that?
I'm with
So,
you, Mike. Yes.
and
Amen.
it's funny because I mean, just a few days ago, and when Francis, Pope Franny, when he said, we can't bless same-sex couples because we can't bless sin, I thought, well, at least he's there in office, but I'm also like, it'll be nice maybe in my lifetime if the person running the largest organization on the planet, religious, financial, otherwise, actually knew what sin was. Bless his heart. And I say that just from a place of love. So maybe we'll see that in our lifetime. And I think there's more chance of that for him than, Joey Ratz, which was the New Jersey mob name of Joseph Ratzinger, who was Benedict, of course, before him, who was a little bit different. But anyway, so I see the way when I approached the Hail Mary prayer, it was very, I don't want to say sober, that just sounds weird, but I was very conscious of handling it with kid gloves. And I saw some other people's translations. And one thing that's unfortunate is modern Assyrians really, bless their hearts, they don't want to hear this from an American, but they tend to hammer the pronunciation of the language really bad. There was a vowel shift in the 19th century that caused a lot of pronunciations to go off kilter. So I saw a lot of what people are doing. And also I thought in a couple of cases, I realized they had made mistakes, because a lot of people may not realize this, but the Hail Mary prayer, Hail Mary, full of grace. Some say Hail Virgin Mary, full of grace. A lot of this, like half of this prayer, actually came from the Gospel of Luke and was just pulled in. And then a little bit was added in Latin, a little bit actually even in English. So I think what I'd like to do is to open this up for everyone. It would be a beautiful thing for all of us to tone a sound together. Now, the fun thing about toning on a Zoom call is you really can't hear everybody else unless you turn your speakers loud enough to get it feeding back. So that's how we get Jimi Hendrix into playing this, even though he's already crossed over 50 years ago, is all that feedback. It sounds like Jimmy at Woodstock. But what we're going to do is we're going to just tone the sound. It sounds like this. Maria. Everybody knows that word, Maria. Maria is the root in Aramaic of the word Lord, as a matter of fact. Lord is, whether that be addressed to Jesus, to the one, etc. Maria was actually the word, funny enough. But if you put the letter mem at the end of the word Lord, you have Mariam. And Mariam is actually the name Mary in Aramaic. So Mary's name is actually the word Lord. Wow, who knew that? And I'll say this. There was a lot of Marys back then. If you read the Bible, it's obvious. You can't keep track of all the Marys. And a lot of people kind of smash like 2 or 3 of them together and just assume it's the same one. But there was a lot of them named Mary back then because Herod's wife was named Mariam. So basically out of some kind of either respect or maybe just allegiance, a lot of children were named Mary at that time. So what we'll do is, before I begin the prayer, I can actually show, let me bring it up so you can see what it actually looks like. And now you're going to, once I pop this on, you're going to hear my voice, but you're not going to see me. Everybody sees that. So what the Hail Mary looks like. I am going to open this with just a simple, for me being a guy, the tone will be a little bit lower. Maria, like that. We're going to make this sound Maria 3 times. Toning, if anybody isn't aware of what that is, I'm sure by now you know what it is if you've been around me, but it's essentially you're elongating the vowel sounds and allowing yourself to get within the harmonics, the intonations, the frequencies of a particular word, prayer, sound, etc. And I will add this, that when Yeshua said, he never said pray these words before praying the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. He actually said pray in this way. And I'm quite certain that he wasn't saying, okay, here's 7 ideas, follow these ideas. It's something that a lot of the backwater yokels wouldn't have really understood then. what they would have understood was how into it he was, which is like John 15:16. He says, pray in my Shem, which is translated as pray in my name, but that's not what that means. Shem is all that I am. It's within the wide open frequency spectrum that I'm coming from. Essentially, pray wide open. So what we're going to do is we're going to make that Maria sound 3 times. We'll do it. We'll go to silence, do it again, go to silence, do it again, go to silence. And then I'll just recite the prayer. I'll do it first in Aramaic, and then I'll do it in English. And anybody who knows it in English, you already know it, but that's fine. So you're not going to hear a very, very different version than you would with the Lord's Prayer, because with this being so, I'll do that eventually, probably break it open a little bit deeper, but I don't think it really needs to, actually. It's unlike the Lord's Prayer, which has so many layers to it. So what we're going to do is begin by taking a big breath in the nose. Hold that in the temple just a few moments, and then breathe out through the mouth. I want to hear it. You can even sigh as a good way to do that. Breathe in again. Hold that, and then full release. One more time. Breathe in. Hold it. Hold that just a little more. You'll start feeling the pins and needles, the buzzing, and then full exhale. We're going to tone the sound of Maria 3 times, okay? It's going to last a lot longer than that. Big breath. Just be in the silence. Okay, let's do that second time. Big breath in. Okay, one more time, and then rest in silence. Big breath. So just be open. Shalom Laki Mariam. Maliat Tebuta. Moran Eameke. Mabarakta Anti Beneshe. Wambarak Hu Piara the Bakarski Yeshua. Wakadishta Mariam Amada Allah. Datsalau Elaine Hanan Khatia. Hasha Wabsheta Demalta. Hail, peace to you, more specifically Mary, full of gratitude and grace. Same word. Maran, the cosmic one, the Lord is with you. The blessed radiance you are among women. Blessed is the fruit. Blessed is the manifestation of your womb, Yeshua. holy, profound, universal Mary, Mother of Allah, the One, pray for us. I'm just going to say sinners and put that in quotes. Now and at the hour or time of our Demalta, death. Let's tone the sound Amen, Amen one time, and then back to silence, okay? Amen, wide open. Well, before we proceed, how's everybody feeling right now? How does that feel? I think that the shaking of the head, yes, is
That was amazing.
I feel buzzy.
buzzy.
Yeah.
Buzzy's good. Buzzy sounds better than I feel buzzed. That was it was a sacred thing for me to work with that. And like I say, even though someone asked me about it, it's actually Mike that keeps me. He just has this gentle tap on my shoulder, reminds me, hey, what about us Catholics? But he doesn't wear that. He doesn't wear that like a suit, to conceal who he is. He actually found a way, within that, and I experience his frustrations with him. That he amazing how to see him be able to get in that and still expand, still open up his heart and soul, and then occasionally go, oh God, every once in a while he'd get like little frustrations, and it mirrors my own experience working with the teachings of Jesus, because there's times it's like if I read some of the commentary, or honestly, even I've tried to read mainstream Christian books, and it's really hard for me to get through them. It and I mean this as no disservice to the people who have poured their heart and soul into it, but it's just hard to get through them. And sometimes and I'm not saying their work is silly. It's there for the people where they are, but I feel silly sometimes trying to get through it. And I think I may have mentioned, I'm not sure, Beth Moore on the last call. Beth Moore is a Southern Baptist who about 2 weeks ago announced she was leaving the Southern Baptist organization after quite a while. She said she just could not support that anymore. And I found it empowering because, I quoted Beth in quite a few of my audio programs over the last 20 years. I quoted her several times, especially talking about her teachings on prayer. But the odd thing was when she did that, she started getting death threats when she announced she was leaving the Southern Baptists organization. I found that to be, wow. And I'm not going to add commentary to that. I just found that to be interesting, and it happens to me. I tend to get. It's been a while since I've had a full-on death threat, probably about 10 years. And yes, I've had them, but it in a way, it's kind of like a nice milepost to just remind me, I guess I'm on the right track. At least I'm not on that one, the one that wants to slaughter people, or the ones, and somehow they made their way, somebody, and I don't think it's related to me, but somebody, I don't know if Nia's even noticed, on the Human Harmonics page on the YouTube channel, same that happens on mine. As soon as a video publishes, somebody thumbs it down. They get notifications and gives it a thumb down. So that's why I actually made that video a few months ago asking people for thumbs down. And I got more thumbs up in relation to views on that video than any video I've ever had, and it still doesn't have a damn thumbs down. So please, somebody find that rattled your cage video on my channel and give the damn thing a thumbs down, because everybody else refuses to. I think they're doing it. Hey, you want a thumbs down, buddy? So I have to laugh at that whole, the archetype of all that. And I feel that I was talking about this idea of there's being this kind of central pivot of what I would say exoteric or external. I don't want to just say it's all external Christianity, but more literal Christianity. And unfortunately, it's not correct literal, it's incorrect literal. So if they were going to be literal, at least it'd be a little better if they weren't making so many mistakes. But that realization of only begotten, I just wanted to add a little bit into this before I'm pretty much, there's not a lot I have to say about this. I think what's really going to happen is the magic of all of us interacting on the call with this. But this happens in John 3, Yochanan 3. I will say the original, what's now called the Gospel of John, was originally called the Gospel of the Beloved Disciple. Okay? By chance, the beloved disciple was feminine, not masculine. I think we can all guess who the beloved disciple probably was. And then this interesting fellow by the name of Irenaeus from the turn of the 2nd into the 3rd century. First of all, he hated Gnostics. He hated, when I was quoting from, I can't remember what the text was I quoted from last week, which was a Valentinian text. Irenaeus was one of those guys that wanted to basically destroy all of the Valentinian texts. And a lot of people don't realize this. Irenaeus oversaw the burning of thousands of original Aramaic texts. About 100 years or so, and a little bit past that after the death of Yeshua. But this term of what we now say as only begotten was a Greek word, and I should have written it out for you, and I might have it on my computer, but I don't think it really matters. But it sounds like this: monogenes. So monogenes, this is the word translated as only begotten, but there's an interesting piece about this word because it wasn't translated. It really didn't have a meaning. Coming in the Greek, it didn't have a meaning until the 4th century. It happened at the Council of Nicaea, which is when they actually gave this word a meaning. They had actually several different options of what they could choose from, and what they ultimately chose was the word begotten, or begotten only, or only begotten. The reason, and all you have to do is look at there's immense amounts of documents of what happened at that. Constantine, who was leading up the Council of Nicaea in modern day, well, it was Constantinople now. It's what do they call it? Is it Marrakesh or not Marrakesh? I can't remember. But anyway, in Turkey. But totally brain dead right now. But he actually said that we're going to use the word begotten because it lined up with the pagan Egyptian philosophies of Horus. And that's what people already believe. So let's bring it in, because that was the way they could keep the politics, the economy, and the religion under a single umbrella, is by saying this is the only one. And funny enough, only begotten doesn't really have much of a meaning, but I'll say this: the mono means what? One, and that's where the only is. And genes is the root of the words like gonad, etc., things like that. It means born, the only born. Unfortunately, there was an Aramaic word, well, fortunately, I should say, before monogenes that was in the original text of the beloved disciple. And it was not a new word. It was not a word that had not already been defined. It was a word that had been around for hundreds, possibly as much as 1,000 years before the life of Jesus. And that word, I'm actually going to open up for you so that you can see what that looks like. And you'll see a really creepy guy's face. That's actually me. This is from a video that I made about only begotten, but with my little light pen. But this is going in this direction. It's achedaya, or yechedaya. Okay, that's this word right here. That was what was in the Gospel of John. Now it has three different sounds: yah or chud, and ayah. I'm going to actually start with the last sound. The last sound is the same sound that's at the end of Shemaiah, which is our daughter's name, which is the word for heaven. It's also the word for sky. Okay? Ayah means something that has no beginning and no ending. Okay? It means something that has no boundary. You understand what I'm saying? So it's boundaryless. It's in other words, if it's boundaryless, that means it's everywhere, it's every when, etc. If you go backward, you have the sound chud, and chud is in Aramaic is literally the word one. Chud, it's the word one, and then the first sound is yah or and what that yah sound is who, but it doesn't mean who such as just a person. It's kind of like the who behind the who. It means awareness, it means consciousness, etc. So we've got one who is limitless, and it could be colloquially translated as the one, but it's problematic to say the one, because if you think the one, then you start thinking the only one, and there's like this set apart thing, the only one, but it doesn't mean the only one, it means the only one. It means one who is absolutely limitless in being. One who knows that she is not separate from God, is not separate from the cosmos, from the multiverse, from anything, knows that it's all connected. You know, we have this idea that we aren't connected, or that somehow we're two different people because we have our own ideas, thoughts, etc. But I love the way that, oh man, I think it might have been Suzuki Roshi talked about that we are like the sea spray, that when the wave or the ocean or the waterfall comes and it's like, wow, and all of these droplets expand out, and it looks like billions of people upon the earth, until ultimately at some point, whoosh, it all comes back together again. And I say it's even beyond the droplets. To me, it's, you know, I'll say this too. One of my favorite films of all time, still to this day, is, well, everybody knows I'm an official Dudist priest in the Church of Latter-day Dude, and I have been for many years. I'm talking about The Big Lebowski. And in The Big Lebowski, there's a character, and his name is Smokey. Now, if anybody's ever heard the term Market Zero, it was the confrontation between John Goodman, Walter Solchak, and Smokey. But I'm going to give you a background of Smokey. The guy that played Smokey in the bowling league is actually this amazing, one of my favorite singers, songwriters of all time, a guy named Jimmy Dale Gilmore. With a name like Jimmy Dale, how can you not love him? But in the movie, he's amazing. But he actually wrote a song where he was talking about he and his wife were having, this is unrelated to the film, we're having an argument, and he would always kind of puff up his chest and tell her what's what. And then she just stopped him one day. She put her hand up and she said, "You know what? You're the wave. You're not the water." And he said, like at first he kind of, I've seen interviews and he was like this sensei kind of stuff. He didn't know what happened. He was just like, what? He didn't understand it at first. So he ended up sitting down, and he said it was like the ultimate, she didn't cuss at him, nothing. She was like, "You're the wave, you're not the water." So he sat down and he just sat there, and he spent like weeks, and he would walk back up to his wife and he'd go, and he didn't know what to say to her. He had no response to this. So he ended up sitting and writing a song about it. And it's profound because it's not like you're like going deeper than Suzuki Roshi. It's not like you're a drop in the ocean. You're actually the formation. Whatever God is, I am. And it's not like maybe you're not the entire ocean, but you're a wave. And I'm not going into any surfer analogy here, although Nia knows I could. You know, you're actually the wave. You're the formation. Because it can be so problematic to say that you are sort of a thread within God, or you are like a grain of sand, because it still has the idea of separation. What I'm saying is when you go down into the middle of you, there's God. And you go a little further, there's more God, and more God, more God, more God. And it's funny because there was something opposite of this in the Jesus teachings, and somehow it got labeled as being this like Jersey Devil like character with like wings. They called it Satan Devil, whatever. Satana in Aramaic literally means, the literal translation means a being divided against itself. A being divided against itself. In other words, it's not like there's some kind of external force, but that's you. The shadow within you is you. The things that you're attacking other people for, you're actually attacking yourself. And what was it that Gandhi said? Of course, he said there's no devils running around the world except those in our own hearts. And there's another thing that Yeshua would often say. He would say, do not doubt. Does anybody know what does doubt mean? I asked this on a few calls ago. Anybody have any input? What's doubt? We talked about this a little. But everybody probably forgot it. What's that?
Worry.
Any other like characteristics of doubt or
Question?
To divide.
question?
To question? To divide?
Fear.
I heard something.
Fear.
Tension.
All of these have a quality of something.
It's divided.
Yes, you got it. Bingo. Don just hit it. That word that was translated ultimately in the Jesus teachings as doubt is the word tetplug, which means this. It means divide. But here's the thing. If God is all that is, and you rip God in half, what do you have? God. And it's not even two pieces, because the space in the middle is also God. You get what I'm saying here? And that's the realization that if you rip it into 9 billion, and you know, that picture that I showed you, and it's not, I guess my battery's dying, but you know, if I've got 9 billion people on the earth, really there's only one light, but we have that somehow the illusion that we're somehow separate. Now think about that when you start breathing into that. Yeah, I mentioned when I started talking about this in like the first call, I think I talked about Marianne Williamson and how and I read that actually a couple of calls ago also, where she's like, it's not our darkness that we're afraid of. It's actually the light, because how do you hide in that? And of course, all the stuff that happens, that whatever of ill repute, whatever that tends to happen at night. And I also say this, we usually don't have, you know, dinner parties in the middle of the day when the sun's bright. Why? Why do we think we have them at night? Because you don't have to clean in the corners. The light can be low. You can kind of push the junk over behind the coffee maker. Maybe that's not the only reason we do them at night. But understand that rather than that thought that Christianity holds of it being Jesus being the miraculous one, as if one of these dots on my mouth, or on my mouth, one of these dots on my eye, one of these dots on my mouth is the miracle one. Well, then what about all the others? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
That one of these dots is the Son of God? Is it? And let me ask you another question beyond that. Is that even possible? Is it even? It's not even possible. Even the theology is wrong of it. It's not even possible. It's like the idea of a grail, a specific bloodline that somehow is better than everyone else's. And you know what happens if the bloodline stays within itself long enough? They start growing fourth ears and, you know, fifth eyeballs and all this other kind of weird stuff. It doesn't work. So what's unfortunate, though, for me is that, you know, the power was put outside of us in some kind of an outside force. But what's is fortunate to me is that, you know, when people tell me, you know, why have us fall asleep? Why have us, you know, have to activate this at some point? And I'm like, because the activation is so damn beautiful. And it's amazing to me. Even when I talked last week about second coming, parousia in Aramaic, and in the Greek, doesn't mean coming again. What it actually means is to go beyond matter, so that the emergence isn't in the single being of Jesus, but it's all of us.
You know,
And
Dale,
again,
if I can mention something about like going back to the wave, you're the wave, you're not the water. And anyone who surfs will know that even on a perfect
See, we still went to surfing.
point, that's my point of reference. On a perfect day, on a perfect point break, every single wave is unique. Every single wave is a perfect expression of the ocean. And so it goes to what, for me at least, what you're saying is that you can't separate it out, and yet it is unique and all of everything. So that to me is, having surfed and dropped, spent days, hours in at one break, that you have to be very, very present with every single wave in order to become one with it. And the wave is a beautiful, unique expression, every single one of them, like we are, I think.
That's exactly it. And I tried not to say that, but she did. So now it doesn't. It's a funny thing. And it's not because I happen to know her. She knows this. I told you she tolerates my constant North Shore references, although I've tried not to. I want to open something up for people because it really is. Although on the surface, it's like it seems like a slightly cheesy 80s film. It's not. It's actually kind of profound. So I'm opening up a window here on Amazon to show you the page
super
for North
cheesy.
Shore. You gotta watch it because oh my God, who's this right here? But and Matt Adler, he's so adorable. But it's actually a really I gotta say that the sensei, or should I say, in this movie, it seems like on some level it's Gregory Harrison, or it could be Vince, of course, the head of the Hui. But really, to me, neither of them are the master. To me, the master is this guy named Turtle. And yes. Turtle, to me, is like the Big Lebowski. He's, this amazing... Anyway, Nia thinks I should write a book all about Turtle's quotes or something. But my point in that is this, is that it's even that film, whatever, it's almost like a lot of Christianity turned us away from nature. It turned us away from the wildness, in the root of our soul. It turned us away from a connection that is so unbreakable that there's no way to hurt another human without hurting yourself. And there's just no way. There's no way to. That's why it fascinates me when I see, and I'm without going toward politics, how this wacky fringe of Christianity has turned into something that is exactly 100% perfectly opposite of what Jesus taught, which is that it's inside of you, that you're responsible for your world. You're literally not you don't have dominos, which is the word Lord, or dominion as in dominate. That word actually means stewardship. You're a caretaker. Somehow all this stuff was removed, but not just of the earth, which was removed from Christianity in a lot of ways. You're a caretaker for each other. And until we learn how to take care of ourselves and learn that love, and then to be able to share that with others, if there's any reason I do what I do, it's because if I didn't, it's if I knew, learned all these things, and then I sat here in a room and didn't share this stuff, that's awful. I mean, that would be awful. It's like having somebody that's an amazing musician that doesn't want anybody to hear it. And of course, on some level, that's their choice. But we're talking about something that, and I'm not just even talking about these teachings, but all of us are here to do something very specific. And it has nothing to do with what we're doing in the world. That very specific thing is you. It's us. It's funny. I see Beth smiling because, she's going through her journey right now. So, and for me, there was a point in time, where I was like, oh, I'm here to be a rock star. And then I went, okay, after a while, this Aramaic thing kept coming back and all this Jesus stuff. And I didn't even tell most of my friends about it because they were like, if I started talking about it. And of course, now it's like, just by being true to what was within me, everybody here on this call has something in them. And it's not going to look the same from one day to the next, and it's going to go through phases. So in other words, don't get lost on what it is that you're doing in the world so much as the fact that, like Eckhart Tolle would say, if you're scooping ice cream, make every scoop be the ultimate scoop. It's not what you're doing, it's that you're doing it consciously. You're doing it with presence. You're doing it with, of course, love. Because if God is love, then that means that connection, that oneness is what we're here for. And anything that divides that, breaks that, that would be, of course, what the sin is. And the sin's not a bad thing. The sin was just a mistake. It was an error. And there are no errors in the world because you can't really break God up. All of the conflict, all of that exists within this movie that's not even there. So what is it? Anybody want to throw something into that, throw their hat into the arena? What is it that you're here to bring forth? What is it? Maybe it's within the job you already have. Maybe it just means to be an amazing parent. Maybe it means to be, excuse me, a total blithering asshole, because maybe somebody's here to be an asshole. I don't know. But just do it in such a way that it's conscious and that you are, of course, I don't know, maybe that's what Ted Nugent's thing is. I don't know, but I don't know what he's here for. But anybody got something you want to throw in?
Yeah, I do.
Remember to breathe.
Okay. I believe that I'm here because I was created by the Creator. Sorry to use the cognate object there. And I was given 2 missions, and they're quite related. The first is, as I go through life, to go inside myself and listen to what the Creator is telling me to do. And my mission is to adhere. And since the Creator is working in the world to redeem the world, sometimes the Creator wants me to participate and gives me a signal. And again, my mission, my second mission, is to adhere.
Silence. Don's an amazing soul because and I don't know if he's actually seen that. There's a video that I put up like earlier in the year from a talk I gave a couple years ago in Silva at the Open Door Spiritual Center, Barbara Jeffrey's place. And it's funny because I edited the talk in such a way that when the talk opens, I'm actually talking with Don at the time. As my talk opens, and I say it right in the beginning. I'm like, Don is so he's just incredible. I acknowledge that in our lives in more ways than one, but because I can give like a talk, and I love it because he always has the most incredible insight. But the thing that I love the most is that he comes up at the end of almost all talks and he's like, okay, I've got 4 questions. And I love it because but they're always things that kind of like what Mike does for me, that shows me blind spots and biases and things of that nature, etc. And I'll say this too. This all comes from being open and humility. I'm working with a guy in Glastonbury, Oliver, who we've been going word for word, letter for letter through the Aramaic Beatitudes of Matthew and picking them apart in pieces. And he's going to be the first person I officially certify as a teacher of Yeshua's Aramaic Beatitudes through at least my teachings. Right. And he showed me something yesterday. I'm not talking about it specifically on the call right now, that I never saw looking at those friggin' Beatitudes since I was 7 years old, something I never noticed in the Aramaic, something that had been assumed in translation for 2,000 years that wasn't actually there. And it was funny because at first I was just like, oh, wait, I'm protecting my territory. Like, hold on, he's got to be wrong. And then I just kept breathing and my neck turned hot, not out of humiliation. I didn't want to punch him or anything. But I just kept breathing. And then finally I got through the other side and I was like, wow. And it was amazing because that burning experience, that's, if there's any hell, that's hell. And what that is, it's the arising of all those things you've divided within yourselves, all of your indoctrination, all of your fears and phobias and past experiences of being beaten or God knows whatever else. And we're here to support that with each other. There's got to be something else that somebody might want to toss in here. Something you're feeling. Maybe don't usually like talking in front of people. Somebody's got to have something to add.
I mean, I can add something.
Absolutely.
I don't entirely know why I'm here, but I know that the experiences that I've been through and the things I am going through, it's been a day, but I think somewhere along the lines at some point, someone's gonna see it, someone's gonna need it, and need it in ways that maybe I don't even know, or read something I posted or something, or we'll have a random conversation somewhere at some point, and they'll understand that they're not alone in whatever they're going through, that someone else came through the other side, or is stuck it through and is still going through it, but is here and living, and being true to themselves regardless of what others say or what they're going through.
That's awesome. I wanted to add just a little bit, put a little piece in here, almost like to offer a gift to everyone. We were told to go away from what? We were told to move away from fire, stay away from the fire. The fire's bad. But you notice when you ever have these deep religious experience, whether it's in tantra or you're reading or meditation, it feels warm. And yet the funny thing is, when you think about utter and deep seated loneliness, it doesn't feel warm, it feels cold. And if there's any truth to a hell, it's that feeling of isolation. It's the feeling of separation from, quote unquote, God or each other. And what I'm telling people is go toward the fire. Funny, because Jesus said, those that are near to me are near to the fire. Those that are far from me are far from the kingdom. That heat that comes up when we feel humiliation is the burning up of all of those veils that separate us from the realization that we really are God. So I'm telling you to actually move toward. I'm not saying go out and specifically create humiliating experiences in your life, but there's a place in the Tao Te Ching where it says only the leader who can take on the humiliation or process or comprehend, in Chinese, the humiliation of the people is fit to rule them. Not one that when something is thrown at them, they deflect back, but the one that can take it. And you're not necessarily internalizing it per se, but you're allowing yourself to find those places within you where you feel, I do relate to this. And when they say that, I actually do feel this. And it feels awful. And you actually allow yourself to breathe into that and allow those things to rise to the surface. And that happens in the light, when you bring it to the light. But when you bring it to the light, let me ask a quick question. I've been saying this in my talks for 25 years. I tell people, of course, the light of the sun in the olden teachings represented God. Now, what happens when you move closer to the light of the sun? You what? You burn. What happens when you move closer to the light of God? You can say it. People don't like saying it. What?
Burn.
You burn. Usually I hear all these new agey, you process, you become one with the crystalline divine. I'm like, none of it. You burn. Why? Because there's still something inside of you that believes it's not that light.
Right. Dale,
and that's why you burn. It's the resistance. It's the holding on.
Yeah. And I mean, what I would love to add to this is that, the question was, what are you here to do? And it's really, we're here to know the God that we are. I mean, we're here to come into alignment more and more and more with the divine that we are. And that requires burning away the dross. Every time you get closer, that old stuff burns away. And you get closer and it burns away. And you get closer and it burns away. And the interesting thing is that each time you move closer, you feel that alignment. And then you call people in that then show you where the rest of the dross is. And then you're like, whoa. Okay, burning that away. And it is always how it is that the process is, how do I love myself? How do I love myself, and give myself permission to continually move toward that alignment and burn away that dross. And it's continual. It's like a continual reformation. Just like if you're the ocean, you've become a wave, and then you become a different one and a different one. And we have to continually be willing to transform. And the game goes up and up and up and up and up and up. The burning away gets faster. You can identify it. It gets easier in that you can identify what's occurring. But some of it gets deeper and harder that way. But at least you know what's happening. And the heights are higher and more openly expressed. All of it is more thoroughly and freely expressed. And it's all for that. Just know that you're lining up more and more and more with the divine that you are. And so that's what am I here to do in this moment? Right, this very thing. Tomorrow it might be different. And be okay with that. It's when we hold on to that thing that we think we're here to do where we can get in trouble. It's like always breathe and ask. Like Don's always asking. He's asking, okay, what now? And then you move into it. So I'll shut up now.
No, that was beautiful. Anybody else? Somebody's got to be bursting with something.
Well,
I'd like to clarify what I said, and appreciate what you said, Nia. But when I go inside myself, I don't ask, I listen. It's Dale that I throw questions at.
And I listen. So
I ask and then I listen. I'm like, what do I need to know?
I have to say that, I've known Dale, since '82. So he's seen my darkest times in my life. And I could just remember sitting in Duffer Mall and him saying that he went on this retreat and he learned the Aramaic Lord's Prayer, and he's like, and he goes through it. And I was just like, what did you say? I was here for so long. And it's not ironic. It's just like synchronous that from meeting him, and then we're talking about 2007 when this happened. He was the truth I was looking for. He was there the whole time, but he had to go on this path in order to bring that truth to me. And it's just this realization that no one ever really makes you feel anything. They only trigger what you already have inside. So Wayne Dyer's mantra is try to remain a candle that never flickers, though the world goes before you. And I have a teenage son and a 20-year-old daughter, and they go before me every day. So it's like, it's like, it's that whatever they're triggering in me, I try to just quiet myself. And if I could just be driving down the street and someone can cut me off, and I try to quiet myself and I remain that candle that never flickers. So that's my purpose in everyday life. But eventually, when the moment presents itself, I will be doing what Dale is doing. It's just on a different level, probably something tying the Catholic in with it. I just had this feeling that I need to do that.
That's beautiful. And isn't it beautiful that you're feeding him already? Like Dale started this thing by saying how much you're feeding him. And this is what happens. The more and more and more we come into that alignment, we're like, it's not singular. It's always everybody's involved.
It's in the Hebrew Shema, it's Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Even in Hebrew, Chad is the same in Aramaic. Chad. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just spit on the screen right now, but it's one thing. We're all one thing, and so it's just a matter of realizing it. Just realizing it and waking up to it. People don't realize it and don't wake up to it. And like Dale says, we're the ones that we're waiting for. Wake up,
It's us.
Yeah.
That's scary. That's scary for a lot of people. And it's not like you have to get up and speak in front of 1,000 people. It has nothing to do with it. It's just that every step that you take, as much as possible, you want each step to be as conscious as possible. And when you're conscious, there's a love in that, and there's a sharing, and there's a support for each other. It's all, inbred's not the word, it's all inherent within that awareness. Put it that way. It's a little better than inbred, but wow, the call's almost over. I mean, the whole series, we've done this for almost 2 months.
Do you have a canker sore or something going on?
Who?
You sound like you're lisping.
Do I sound like I'm lisping?
Yeah,
no, I don't, and I'm not lisping either. But where did that come from?
I was just curious. I heard it the whole time. Like, why is he listening? It's not anyway. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
So I'm putting something into the chat room. It just says Dale Allen Hoffman newsletter. If you click, you can sign up on my email list, because this week I'm going to send out, again, I'll send out a link to all of the calls in the series, but I'm also going to send out a PDF of the Hail Mary for anybody who wants it on my email list. We could go on for another 6 months, but it's been awesome. It's been beautiful. And Nia and I have been kind of, tossing the ball back and forth for quite a few years at this point. And it was awesome. A lot of people may not realize I've got like 10 blogs on humanharmonics.life. If you go on their website, I had like 10 blogs that I wrote last year that actually are I want to say they sort of formed the basis of my second book, but I took those and sort of threw them all in the air, and they landed completely different when they hit the ground. So they inspired the second book, but it's going to be quite different. But I have to thank everybody, of course, Nia for doing this and offering this, and everybody for just showing up. A lot of you, there's a couple of faces I've seen on every call. And that alone is awesome. Some people it wasn't important enough to remember, like Mike, several weeks. But I'm just kidding. But it's been an awesome process.
Yes, it's been so awesome for me, Dale. And I know you and I have spoken about creating retreats together, and this is such a precious place for me. I don't have, the wisdom. I don't have the knowing, the wisdom that you have, and I have not dedicated myself to the learnings in that way, but I have to the knowings, and so when you speak it just lights it up inside me, and I'm so grateful for that. And that is the knowing that all of us carry. All of us we know deep down inside, and we're just at different in different layers of deepening, I guess. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do this specifically for Human Harmonics and anyone else out there. And everyone who's on the call, you have made this very, very special. This is something that we all co-created. And make sure to sign up for Dale's letter if you want to stay more in touch with everything through Dale. He has you can have a direct line to him.
Yeah, and I'll say, check for, dig around on the website. If you have questions, there's a little contact button there. It sends an email to me. As long as you're not threatening my life, I'll probably reply. So, and actually, even if you are, I probably still will. So,
Dale, I sent you in under chat a question about the Hail Mary. Did you see that?
When did it first appear? Well, as far as Luke, when Luke popped up, it depends on who you ask. Late 1st century, but and it was in the Gospel of Luke. The Hail Mary, the chunks, about 3 lines from the Hail Mary, came from the Gospel of Luke, and it was when Zechariah, of course, the father of John the Baptist, and was it Rebecca? What was his mother's name? Anyway, the angels came to them, said, "You've got a holy child coming." And then they went to Mother Mary and said, "You've got the holy child coming," which ultimately turned into the Annunciation or the Magnificat. This happened like right before the Annunciation, but then different lines were added over the course of several hundred years by different people. And actually, this is just one version. This is the most popular version within Catholicism. There's actually at least dozens, if not hundreds of versions in the Russian Orthodox, the Greek Orthodox. There's lots of different versions of it. Some have the word virgin in there. Some don't have the word virgin. There's things that are there, things that aren't there. But the crux itself of it has been around at this point for, I guess it's been over a millennia that it's been fairly well intact. It's just a couple of the lines kind of fell away after a while. So,
I know we're going a little bit over, but I'm feeling led to really share something. For those of you who are Catholic, you may know Medjugorje. Medjugorje is a place of pilgrimage in Bosnia-Herzegovina because Mother Mary's been showing herself there in apparition to 6 visionaries who were children at the time. She's been showing herself in apparition every day since 1984 and giving these messages to them every single day. And on an occasion a few years ago, I went and visited Medjugorje, and my friend who goes to Mass every single day, I am not Catholic. I was not raised in any particular religion. She asked me to read a book on Medjugorje before going. And so I did. And in the book, Mother Mary asks everyone before coming to this place of pilgrimage to read the Hail Mary 10 times. Every day for 2 weeks. And so I thought that, okay. So I looked it up and started reading it. And every day that I knelt, I just said, okay, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. And my heart would open up and I would just weep. And I'm thinking, what is happening to me? Every single time I had to read it because I did not know it. So when I went to Medjugorje, all of these incredible things happened. But one of the things was that we were able to sit with one of the visionaries. And she's one of the most lovely people and the most truthful people and devoted to love people that I've ever met. And everyone was asking her questions. Mostly they were about Catholicism. And I raised my hand and I said, Mother Mary gives a lot of messages in terms of how Catholics can be closer to God. Does she have any suggestions for those of us who are not Catholic? And she said, you are not Catholic? And I said, no. And I'm saying this for everybody here because this could have been you. She said, I thought you're the most Catholic. There is so much love in your heart that you are the most like our Blessed Mother of anyone here. And our Blessed Mother has called you here for a reason. I suggest you go to the Blue Cross and you ask her why. Now, the Blue Cross is where Miriana, this visionary, receives Mother Mary. And so I had this incredible evening that I won't go into, but it was dreams of being Mary Magdalene, of being her daughter, of Yeshua putting his mouth on me and exhaling into my mouth. And those dreams have been going on for a while. So I get up and I go to the Blue Cross and I kneel and I pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, crying again. And I say, why am I here? And she showed me a picture of myself. And I don't see much. I usually feel things. But I had a full-on picture of myself standing with my arms out to the side. And I was surrounded by every religion and every nationality, every race, every country, everything that separates us. And I was pointing to each one of them going, there's the love in that, and there's the love in that, and there's the love in that, in that, in that, in that, in that. And she said, you know what love is, write it. And I said, write it where? She said, write it everywhere. And then I asked her, why do I keep getting these dreams of Mary Magdalene? Is it important? And she said, only so you know that the work you do is holy work and you began it long ago. And I'm sharing this with you because that love, the simplicity of that love is what it's about. It is our true frequency. And in her presence, that prayer, if you can just sit with it, like all I knew was she was the virgin mom of Jesus. Like, that's what I had heard. I'm not Catholic. I didn't know anything else. There is a transmission. If you just sit with any of it open-heartedly, and her energy is so pure and clean and beautiful that it comes and it embraces you and reminds you of the love that you are. And so that's just what I felt led to share with you, since Dale
Thank you.
is sharing this prayer. This is my experience with it and with the energy of Mother Mary. And it's all pointing back to the love that we are. Again, clearing away the dross, coming to the purity of that. So anyway, thank you, Dale.
I always say it. I'm honored to be of service. Love everybody.
You guys are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We love you so much. And stay in touch. Maybe we'll have some more of this.
Yeah,
Great.
something will happen.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for listening to The Ancient Light of the Yeshua Teachings 8-episode mini-podcast with actress, musician, and author Verenia Nia Peoples, and ancient Aramaic wisdom keeper Dale Allen Hoffman. Please visit niapeoples.com for Nia's upcoming event schedule, books, and support product offerings. And please visit daleallenhoffman.com for Dale's upcoming event schedule, books, audio and video programs, support product offerings, and to join the free Aramaic Healing Circle email newsletter. We are committed to your awakening.